House Appropriations Subcommittee on School Aid and Department of Education will come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chair Kelly.
Here.
Representative Jenkins Arno.
Here.
Representative Markkinen. Representative Beeson.
Here.
Representative Borton.
Here.
Representative Glanville.
Present.
Representative Steckloff.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Also, the Representative Jenkins Arno moves to approve the minutes of March 10th, 2026. There being no objections, the minutes are approved. Good morning. We have a couple different presentations here this morning of some various topics. We're going to start with 10 cents a meal, a couple different presentations regarding that, and then end up with Flint Community Schools. And so if we could have up to the rostrum here, Jim Bardenhagen, Bardenhagen Farms, as well as Nick Welty, farmer from 9 Bean Rose, and Rebecca Park, Legislative Counsel for Farm Bureau. 10 cents a meal, by the way, has been in the various parts of the budget, I think, for around 15 years, something to that. Please take it away. It's yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Rebecca Park with Michigan Farm Bureau. Mr. Bartenhagen and Nick Welty were going to join us via Zoom. I don't know if they're up there yet.
We are.
They are. Okay, perfect. I'm going to let them do most of the heavy lifting, but I just wanted to say on behalf of Michigan Farm Bureau's 40,000 farm families across the state of Michigan, thank you for taking up this topic about the 10-cent meal program. All of the policies that are based in the Farm Bureau book are from our farmer members when they say, hey, you know, Farm Bureau needs to take a position on this particular topic, and we think it's important. And so from the beginning, when the 10-cent meal was started as a pilot program back in 2016, as the chair alluded to, we have been supportive of this notion. So Jim and Nick have some firsthand experience dealing with the 10-cent meal program, and I'm going to turn it over to them. I don't know how to get them up on the screen. Escape? Oh, you're letting me touch technology. This is. Let's try. There we go. Oops.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. You want me to begin?
Jim, give us just a second. We're having technical difficulties. They let me touch a computer.
Almost there.
Let me just spot.
Go ahead and I will try and get this sorted out.
Okay. They can hear you, Jim. We just can't see your lovely face this morning, but go ahead and get us started, please.
Okay. I'm not that good at looking anyway, so I'll go ahead. I thank you, committee, for the opportunity to testify on the 10 cents a meal program. My name is Jim Bardenhagen of Bardenhagen Farms in Suttons Bay, Michigan, and I'm the president of My Farm Co-op, a co-op of 25 growers who produce locally produced food for the Northwest Michigan area, including all the schools in Northwest Michigan. As a farmer and a co-op, we have been involved with the 10 cents a meal program from the start, when it was first conceived in Northwest Michigan with Groundworks and championed by Diane Connors of Groundworks to get locally produced food in schools. And she helped champion it all the way to being provided a program that was statewide. As a farm, I used to sell 25 or more bushel per week to schools under the 10 cents a meal program. Now I and other fruit growers in our co-op might sell 3 bushel of apples per week to the schools, greatly affecting our income stream. Our co-op has taken a real hit in lost sales since the 10 cents a meal was dropped by the state. Schools have told us that the local producer has been a real plus. Getting food from the local producer has been a real plus in student performance and students eating what's given them. prior to 10 cents, kids were dumping food in the trash because it didn't taste good. Kids like the good, tasty food that comes from the local farms. 10 cents a meal gave the schools the incentive to produce locally, to purchase locally grown food versus the distributor food that may have been surplus, USDA surplus, or stored or in transit for several days. Parents would often lean on the school boards to buy local fresh foods to feed their kids. So I'll turn the testimony over to Nick Welty. He's my farm co-op treasurer and a grower in the co-op, to talk more about the effect of the 10 cents a meal on our co-op's financials and the community. So Nick, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for taking this up again. It is an extremely important revenue stream for my farm co-op and the varied amounts of farmers we have within the Northwest Michigan region. We have a breadth of farms and ranging from apples, which Jim is referencing, as well as a great range of all of the vegetables that we could have in storage here. Having school sales for my farm cooperative is tremendously beneficial for our revenue stream during the wintertime, when there are tough, difficult months when we do not have large amounts of business. It's been very successful with the schools when 10 cents a meal is active. As Jim alluded to, with 10 cents a meal falling off, our sales in the wintertime have just fallen off a cliff. And I think it's important to note that when 10 cents a meal is supported by the state, the schools feel that support. They want to have buy-in, and it just takes that little extra nudge. And as treasurer, I am seeing purchasing from the schools. You will see that, they're contributing their portion. They want to buy locally. With the 10 cent support, they're willing to chip in their funds with the state's extra support of the 10 cents. And it's a major boon to all the farmers within the cooperative. And knowing that the schools are supporting this, as I see cashing the checks, they're willing to chip in a little bit above and beyond their traditional budget just because they see the value in the healthy food for the kids. And I think it's just tremendous that you guys are picking this up again and taking a look at it, because it will be a big help to all of the diverse farmers within the Northwest Michigan region.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Nick and Jim, when we were chatting, getting prepared for today, you guys had some anecdotal stories about student performance that the schools had shared with you. Would one of you share that story with the committee, please?
I think the student performance within the lunchrooms that we hear back from, it's the school food service directors will tell us it's a difference between serving food that kids eat and serving food that is just gone to waste. My observations from having been invited into different schools to talk to, health education classrooms or be in the cafeterias, when you go into a school that has been supporting this for a long time, there's, an intangible uplift of all the students knowing that they're getting healthy food, feeling buy-in and education because they understand the food that they're eating when we have local farms bringing it in. I think it sort of raises the entire boat of the students within the schools when we have this kind of food available to them. And, people oftentimes sort of think that children don't like to eat fresh, healthy vegetables. Honestly, I've never really seen that to be the case. Especially the youngest children are extremely receptive when we have food that tastes good from Michigan farmers in their cafeterias.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If there's questions?
When I've been there in the past, visiting some schools, as Nick has said, the kids surround you, and they really want to be connected to the community and to the farmer. They just they love the process. They taste the food, and they just rave about it. So I think there's definitely an impact, on the school, on the children and their performance, as some of the school people have indicated to us.
Thank you. Representative Jenkins Arno.
Thank you. It just sounds like a great program. I love getting the local food and that sort of thing. And but one of the questions I have is, how do the schools find out about it? Because I was looking at your little booklet here, and none of the schools in my county are on the list. So just curious as to how they would find out about the program and how they could get involved.
Well, generally, Groundworks has made quite an effort to statewide to make the program known. Sometimes there's just not a local source for some, for some, it hasn't been set up yet. Some of the farmers are not used to dealing with the schools and this kind of an institutional program. But I know there's tremendous effort on the part of Groundworks to spread the information about it. When we get hear about the award through our co-op, we send it to every school, information to every school to sign up for it. So I'm not sure why some haven't been able to get it, but it's pretty widely distributed.
Yeah, if you notice any sort of lack of participation within a county and need help for resources to get connected, obviously we would have some, but as Jim mentioned, Groundworks has been instrumental in getting the word out there. As a cooperative, we also do our part because it assists the schools to give them information from the producer in the right format so that they can communicate back with the state for their 10 cents reimbursements. And so having a cooperative to work with for the schools is also beneficial for them for the reporting standpoint.
And I just had one other question. I'm just wondering, how much do the schools save by taking part in this program? I assume they're saving some money because they're not buying from the regular, the supplier of food to the schools.
Well, I think the way that works, they get 10 cents from this program, but they also get another, the schools kick in 10 cents. So there's 20 cents, but that from their total, they put in totally for buying purchased food, or buying locally produced foods. So then there's a system throughout the state for them to get reimbursement.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, further presentation on 10 cents a meal. We have Mark Coe, General Manager, Michigan Farm to Freezer, Dr. Diane Gilzinski, Deputy Superintendent, Michigan Department of Ed, Amanda Brazel, Policy Engagement Specialist, Groundwork Center, Dan Gorman, Food Service Director, Montague Area Public Schools and North Muskegon Public Schools, Phil Raymond, General Manager, Blue Mitten Farms, as well as May Supros, Director of Farm to Institution Programs, Michigan State University. So whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman and our representatives. My name is Amanda Brazel, and I'm proud to coordinate the policy and engagement for the 10 cents a meal program. It's also known as Local Food in Schools, Section 31J of the state school aid budget. In the last few weeks, I have met with either you or someone from your staff to talk about this program. And so today I've brought with me some stakeholders who represent those who are directly impacted by the program. And to get us started with a bit of history regarding the program, we have Diane Gilzinski.
Good morning, Chair Kelly and members of the committee. It's good to see you again. As you know, my name is Diane Gilzinski. I'm the Deputy Superintendent for Business, Health, and Library Services at the Michigan Department of Education, and I'm here to address the fiscal year 2026 elimination of Section 31J of the State School Aid Act, otherwise known as 10 cents a meal program, and share what this loss means for children, families, schools, and Michigan's economy. First, it's important to clearly distinguish 10 cents a meal from the Michigan School Meals Program, our state's investment in assuring all students have breakfast and lunch available at school. Michigan School Meals ensures all students in our schools have access to free meals, while 10 cents a meal is about quality and nutrition education. This nationally recognized one-of-a-kind program significantly increased the amount of Michigan-grown fruits, vegetables, and dried beans in meals served to our children. In addition, it educated our children on where their food comes from their neighbors and from their communities. And unlike most federal child nutrition program purchasing, these dollars directly strengthened local food economies and local communities. The program began over 2 decades ago as a partner pilot, grew to a statewide pilot in 2016, and expanded to a statewide program in 2020 under the advocacy of former state Senator Wayne Schmidt. This program served far more than schools. It served approximately 450 child nutrition sponsors that are not K-12 schools, including child care centers, family daycare homes, summer food service sites, and community service agencies. All of them were eligible for 10 cents a meal grants through the small amount of general funds that were provided. In 2025, 251 grantees served more than 600,000 children across 64 of our 83 counties. These were children in schools, childcare, summer programs, and community settings, children who benefit the most from fresh and healthy foods. In fiscal year 2025, an investment of just $3.5 million generated $7 million in farm and producer sales across 297 farms in 58 counties, representing a 16% growth in just 1 year. The positive impact extended well beyond farms, supporting countless other food businesses, including processors, aggregators, and food hubs throughout the supply chain. It's important to note that 307 applications were already pending when the program was eliminated in fiscal year 26, when the budget passed on October 7th. Recently, during listening sessions with the Michigan Department of Ag and Rural Development, their Farm to Family program, producers told us that they want to supply institutions, but they cannot rely on incentives that appear and disappear. Institutions told us that they cannot commit to Michigan's producers without the additional funding provided through the 10 cents a meal program. The instability of incentive funding disrupts both relationships and supply chains. Most importantly, it disrupts the ability for children to experience and learn about fresh, healthy, Michigan-grown food. For several years, the $500,000 in general fund administrative dollars in this program provided MDE the ability to work with key partners to provide evaluation, communication support, training, food safety guidance, farm and supplier coordination, and payment administration for grantees who were not permitted to receive state aid fund directly. For the past 10 years, MDE has not requested an additional FTE for this program, as the general fund provided wasn't enough to support a staff member plus those partner activities, and those partner activities were too critical not to put the funding toward those. As a result, we used a previously federally funded FTE designed to support farm to program work and had that person spend a portion of their time on this state-run program, with their remaining time supporting that federally funded work. As with all programs, more staffing, and we could have done more to assist and promote this program. Rep. Jenkins-Arno, we could have gotten into your county better if we had been able to have additional staff to make that happen. In closing, 10 cents a meal improves the quality of food for children. It supports hundreds of Michigan farms and food businesses, and it strengthens our local economy. Thank you for your time.
You can see the impacted students across the state here on this map. I have with me Dan Gorman, who is a food service director, who is going to talk to you about what this looks like from his perspective.
I want to thank the committee and Representative Kelly for allowing me to speak today. Today I want to talk about, two of the greatest assets that we have in Michigan, and that is our farmers and our students. And the 10 cent a meal program for 20 years has been supporting those two assets, and I hope we continue to support it. Now today I could talk about, from my two small school districts, North Muskegon and Montague, I could talk about how we spent $70,000 with local farmers to get local produce in our schools the last school year. I could talk about our coordination across our county and Oceana County, which had an economic impact of over $750,000. I could also talk about how exciting it is for kids to see a new fruit or vegetable for the first time. Kiwi berries and pawpaws. I could also talk about the USDA Rural Non-Congregate Summer Feeding Program. It allows us to feed our students over the summer a week's worth of breakfast and lunch at one time. And it includes Michigan fruits and vegetables. I know during the summer, I get really excited when it's strawberry season and I can finally get those fresh strawberries. We have the ability over the summer to allow our food insecure families to have that same feeling, to get a fresh asparagus, to get corn on the cob. But today, I want to talk about Michigan potatoes. Now, when we started 10 cents, I struggled with the facilities I had and the staffing I had to utilize all the Michigan produce that was available to me. I couldn't process it to what I needed. And so I started looking for how could I do that? And one of the ideas I came up was Michigan potatoes. And so I wrote a USDA grant and we got some equipment and we were able to process Michigan potatoes. I reached out to MSU Extension and they're looking for new markets for farmers and things they can do. And they took this on as a challenge. They engaged Kalamazoo Valley Food Hub to be one of our partners with it. And so we worked together and it was like a year and a half of trying to figure out what's the best potato that we should use for this. What's the best way to process it and blanch it so we can have a frozen diced potato. And we were able to do that. So in my district right now, not only for my district, but probably 6 districts in Muskegon County, we produce a diced frozen potato that we can use on a regular basis. Kalamazoo Valley Food Hub has over 40 school districts that they currently work with, and that product is available to them. And so when I talk about the 10 cent program and what it does for us, it encourages school districts to buy local food, but it really drives development of a new food system. And this doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time. What the state invested in this program comes back multiplied. There's an immediate economic impact to our farmers and our community, but what it does is it builds that long-term infrastructure that's so important for a stronger farm economy, more opportunities for small and mid-sized farms, a more resilient Michigan food system, and most importantly, healthier, better food on the plates of Michigan students. Thank you.
"50% of our grantees report that participation in 10 cents a meal has allowed them to make connections with new farmers. And 47% of child care center grantees have reported that 10 cents a meal has allowed them to connect with new farmers and local food suppliers, and it's also allowed them to improve existing relationships. With me today, I have Mark Coe and Phil Raymond, who are going to provide their perspectives as farmers and food business owners. So Mark? I think he's on.
Hello. Good morning, committee, and thank you for allowing us to come and speak. My name is Mark Coe. I'm general manager and founding partner of Great Lakes Farm to Freezer. I would like to share our Great Lakes story regarding the Michigan 10 cents meal school program. Prior to co-founding Farm to Freezer, I managed a 1,400-acre fruit and vegetable farm in Manistee County, Northwest Michigan. We sold and delivered produce to 5 local schools and directly from the farm. In starting Farm to Freezer in 2013, I left the farm to help found this program and develop a program that would purchase local produce, freeze it, and get it to the school systems and retailers as well. We worked with many growers supporting the then grassroots movement in Traverse City, the 10 cents a meal program. The reimbursements to schools were funded by private donations at the time, and we watched and supported this program to grow into the statewide program that it is now. School purchasing support has greatly helped us build our small business over the years, along with fully fitting into our mission, getting nutritious local foods to the populations that need it. supporting local growers in the sales of their produce, and building a resilient food chain that was absolutely needed in our state at the time. Over the years, we have succeeded in working with over 60 growers and have brought produce to over 200 schools throughout Michigan. We have expanded Michigan produce sales to nearly 1 million pounds annually. Fast forward 15 years later, we are now Great Lakes Farm to Freezer and have 5 distributors that sell that sell our produce into the school systems. The opportunity to get local produce into schools has increased drastically over the last 3 to 5 years, and momentum was raging until this funding was cut and is now slowing to a crawl. Great Lakes Farm to Freezer is now selling to adjoining state school programs also. They have reached out to us through different channels, and we've been able to supply distributors to get products into schools into Indiana and Illinois. Our current forecast, without 10 cents a meal, as far as food sales for our program alone, is about 175 to 200,000 pounds of Michigan produce not being moved into the schools. This product gets replaced by low quality and low cost DoD produce and is not going to support our state's local economies. The funding cut is detrimental to the school nutritional programs for the children. Bringing fresh local produce, the 10-cent program supported so much more than just meals. This program promotes children's awareness as to where their foods come from with local farmers and local farmer interactions. It promotes education on sciences and math as to how food is grown, how spacing is in the gardens, how the sunlight affects the growth and the nutrition of the soil that helps promote healthy food. Promoting more scratch cooking in the schools. It has now added much nutritional value to their meals, bringing this fresh produce in and actually preparing it for the children in the schools. It's propelled small businesses and opened new markets in the food chain. Growing, packaging, processing, preparing, and marketing and distribution. Our company is a great example of this, along with Jim Barthagen and Nick, who have built a full production food processing center in Traverse City. Farm to Freezer has started in Traverse City and moved to Detroit, and now we made a move over to Caledonia and Grand Rapids, where we package and ship frozen foods to the schools. This has promoted more outlets for local farmers to sell their produce and give the children a sense of how and where their food is coming from. This program has provided systematic changes in the state that have made a definite impact in how Michigan school children get the nutritious foods into their meal programs. The economic benefits to Michiganders across the state's food chain has impacted many communities to share in the local purchasing of foods for their school programming. So we at Farm to Freezer also have now a chef on staff. We have developed and share meal plans for the schools that carry the nutritional value requirements of the school systems. We are a member of the School Nutrition Association of Michigan, SNAM. We've worked with Groundworks, MSU Center for Regional Food Systems. Back when it started was MSU Farm to School, and now Farm to Institution. Food Corps played a big part in introducing foods to the children in the classrooms. And I used to be a farmer, Mark, that would go in and read farm storybooks to the school kids while they were doing taste testing, a tried it, liked it, loved it program that was really phenomenal. So I'd just like to thank you very much for reconsidering the 10 cents a meal. It's very much needed throughout the state, and it's very much needed by local growers in the state of Michigan that we all serve. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Farmer Phil Raymond.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of 10 Cents a Meal and other important farm and food support funds. My name is Philip Raymond. I'm the head of operations for Blue Mountain Farms, a year-round hydroponic lettuce and microgreen farm located in Okemos, Michigan. We are an independent, Michigan-born, raised and educated group of first-generation farmers who diverted from other career paths to pursue the dream of starting a business from the ground up in the essential industry of food production. The gap between aging farmers and younger generations willing to enter the field is constantly widening. Prior to COVID, our farm's main outlets were focused on restaurant and market sales. During COVID, we had to seriously consider shutting down operations until we were introduced to the 10 cents a meal program, thanks to outreach from the Groundwork Center. With this new direction, not only did we engage even more in our local community, but we were also able to survive and thrive instead of relying on the hospitality industry's long crawl out of COVID. Working firsthand with food service directors, 10 cents was not only a foot in the door for local farmers, but an introduction and incentive for schools to realize they were surrounded by farmers growing safe, healthy food right in their backyards. The kids, administrators, and parents loved not only the fresh food, but the opportunity to know the farmer and better connect with how and where their food comes from and why it is so important. We have built these relationships beyond the business to classroom time, farm field trips, on-site projects with FFA teachers, students, and food service directors to enhance and inspire connectivity and interest in healthy food and farming. There are endless statistics linking healthy diet to success in education, workplace efficiency, and overall well-being. The snowball effect supported by funding through 10 cents and other food programs was immediate, from questioning our survival to generating demand beyond our infrastructure. Success with schools led to partnering with Flint Fresh Food Hub, which expanded our reach and ability to provide underserved communities in Michigan. Over the last 5 to 6 years, we have grown our partnership with Brian Shore and Flint Fresh, from supplying them with lettuce to being part of their distribution, supporting even more farms through our already established networks, and provide more schools with more Michigan-grown produce. When the funding was overlooked, the fallout and setbacks were immediate. We went from expansion mode to survival mode once again. This is the real trickle-down economics. Cutting funding incentivizes Michigan schools to buy from Michigan farmers is cutting the success rate for current farms, those we employ, and the hope for potential future farmers. It restricts access to healthier foods that promote the positive mental and physical health of our future generations and administrators, and sends the majority of our dollars out of our communities and state. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you take it directly from this passionate Saginaw, Michigan born and raised farmer, providing a little financial incentive to Michigan schools to support Michigan farmers, to feed Michigan-grown food to Michigan's future, should transcend political parties and be on the top of every Michigander's budget priorities. Thank you.
And now we'll have May Supros.
Good morning, everyone. My name is May, and I am the Director of Farm to Institution Programs at the Center for Regional Food Systems at Michigan State University. It's really great to be with you all here today. I'm in the Upper Peninsula currently, in Representative Bonak's district. And before I was a director at Michigan State University, I'm going to bring a little bit different perspective here right now. I was a teacher in a classroom for 7 years in a Title I urban school. I was a science teacher, and I was the teacher who was the person who provided fresh snacks to my students. So many of my students had access to free meals through the Title I programs, and they would eat free snacks and free lunch. But when they wanted brain food, quote unquote, before tests, before important activities, they would knock on my door and ask for the carrot sticks and the apples that I would go and purchase myself and provide to them. They knew I was that person, and they knew what healthy food did for their activities at school, their test scores, their attention, their productivity. Vital, fresh, healthy, nutrient-dense food is vital to our students in this moment. And because I saw the impacts of food, I left the classroom 12 years ago and started a career in food systems work to ensure that our youth and our children continued to have access to healthy local food. So I want to share, as part of our work as a partner at MSU Center for Regional Food Systems, we've had the privilege to oversee the evaluation work of this program. Through my colleagues Colleen Matz and Megan McManus, we have done incredible work to ensure that the 10 cents a meal program doesn't just move forward with the same old actions each year. We use this really thorough evaluation work to assess the programs, the needs of the food service directors, the farmers, the producers, the students, the parents. And we create a responsive program that continues, as you can see from this slide, to grow the program, grow the impact, and grow the amount of food that's spent on fresh local food, and also the students that it's bringing it to. Next slide. So I just want to reiterate, Diane Miskolzinski shared at the beginning of this, the economic impact of this program. So in 2024, the state, through state-funded grants to this program, provided about $3.5 million in state funding to this program. Because of the form of this program, food service directors in schools were required to match that. So it actually ended up nearly $7 million spent on Michigan-grown foods. And utilizing a calculator, a local food economic impact calculator that was developed by the USDA and Colorado State University, we input these numbers and actually found that nearly $12 million in an estimated economic impact was supported Michigan's local economy through 10 cents a meal program, through a $3.5 million investment. That is an incredible ROI in my opinion. Next slide. And finally, I'm going to bring this home with just sharing that the inspiring work of 10 cents a meal has had an impact well beyond just our state. So 10, 12, 20 years ago, when Michigan 10 cents a meal program was first created, we started doing and talking to different people within, different stakeholders within the state. We built this program with intention. And it has been working. It has been impactful to our students, to our parents, to our families, and to our farmers. And because of that, states across the country have utilized the 10 cents a meal program as a model in their state. They have literally, you can see through these quotes, have looked to the 10 cents a meal program to develop programs, state-funded programs in their state. So right now, inspired by this innovative program, children across the country are being able to make healthier choices because of the 10 cents a meal program, because it's provided. These states are looking to Michigan right now to see what's going to happen with this groundbreaking program in our beloved state right here. It would be an honor to see this program uplifted and reestablished. Thank you for your time today.
Since its inception, 10 cents a meal has opened doors for true transformation in our Michigan food system. From providing children with access to nutrient-dense options, to supplying farmers with more markets to generate income for their families and to generate revenue for their businesses. With looming uncertainty across the board, it's imperative that we maintain programs that provide certainty and stability for our children and our essential workforce. Thank you so much for your time, and we can take any questions.
Thank you all for your presentations. That's very informative. Representative Glanville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you everybody who is here to advocate for 10 cents a meal. I don't necessarily have a question. I just want to applaud all of you for the case that you presented today and for the work that you've done over the years with our kids and our farmers and our economy and our business growth. I think, 10 cents a meal appears to be the type of program that is exactly what we strive to do in government, right? So it's a small investment that has impacted the entire state across sectors. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to continue or return to supporting this pivotal program that adds so much to the state of Michigan and has lifted us up as an exemplar across the nation. So thank you all for your time and effort, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for having them here today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next up, we're going to have a presentation on Flint Community School. Kevlin Jones, Superintendent, Flint Community Schools, Dr. Joyce Ellis McNeil, Board President, Flint Community Schools, as well as Laura McIntyre, Vice President of the Board, Flint Community Schools. Just a little preface, I had the pleasure of visiting folks in Flint last fall for a presentation and tour. Go ahead and sit, please. And kind of spent the day going around some of the district. Flint has had a unique, I think, crisis over the years, apart from any of the water. they've lost more than half, or most of their students, I think, are currently serviced by charter schools. There's been a great hollowing out of the Flint community schools to the point where you have, I believe, 400 acres of derelict land, buildings that sit on it, spread across 400 acres. That has become, I think, a millstone around this district for future growth. One that is poor for, bad for marketing, bad for all, because these, families drive past these places, these eyesores. The costs of security that they have to maintain, the different, anyway. So we thought it would be wise to bring them in today and let the committee hear some of the things that I've witnessed myself. So with that, Kevlin, please take it away.
The committee and distinguished guests. My name is Kevlin Jones, and I have the honor of serving as the superintendent of Flint Community Schools. I am joined today by our board president, Dr. Joyce Ellis McNeil, and our vice president, Laura McIntyre, and also in the audience, Trustee Linda Booz and Trustee Claudia Perkins. We thank you for the opportunity to share the story of our district and the urgent need facing our community. For me, this moment is deeply personal. I stand before you not only as the superintendent of Flint Community Schools, but as a proud son of Flint. I grew up in this community. I walked the halls of these schools. I grew up as a son to many teachers in this community. Flint schools helped raise me, educate me, and shape the leader I am today. And it is the greatest honor of my professional life to now serve the very system that poured into me. Flint is a resilient city. Our families are strong, our educators are committed, and our scholars are full of promise. But the reality we face today reflects decades of dramatic change. As Rep. Kelly alluded to, in the 1980s, Flint Community Schools served more than 48,000 students. Our schools were filled with energy, opportunity, and growth. Today, we proudly serve approximately 2,700 students. Those 2,700 students deserve the best, the very best we can offer them. They deserve safe schools, strong programs, and resources that directly support their education. But right now, we are being forced to devote precious time, energy, and money toward maintaining buildings that our students no longer learn in. Across our district, we currently manage over 20 vacant properties and land lots. These aging structures are not simply empty buildings. They have become serious liabilities for our district and our community. Today, we come before you to ask for your partnership in addressing conservatively 4 of our urgent properties: McKinley Middle School, Northern High School, Anderson Elementary, and Stewart Elementary. These buildings together represent 468,896 square feet of abandoned and unsafe space. They were constructed between 1929 and 1965 and have been closed for over 13 to 17 years. Because environmental surveys were never completed when these buildings closed, demolition requires full landfill disposal, significantly increasing the cost. But beyond the technical challenges, these buildings are creating real and ongoing harm. They attract vandalism, squatting, and fires. We receive bills from the city when emergency responders must respond to incidents at these sites. Our staff spends countless hours boarding up broken windows and doors week after week, only to return days later to find them broken again. These costs add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. The Board of Education and I are working daily to reduce our operational deficit and stabilize the district for the long term. But it is incredibly difficult to move forward when we are forced to continue investing resources into buildings that no longer serve children. And we want to make something very clear to this committee today, respectfully. The Flint Community Schools Board of Education has not simply talked about this issue. We have taken action. Over the past 3 years, our board has already invested district resources to demolish 2 vacant school structures. That decision required significant sacrifice, but our board made the responsible choice to begin addressing blight with the resources we had available. In addition, the district used over $150 million in ESSER funds provided by the federal government responsibly, strategically, and within all required timelines to support learning recovery, student services, and district stability. So today we are not simply asking for a handout, we are asking for partnership. We have demonstrated that when we receive resources, we use them responsibly and with urgency for the benefit of our students and our community to the best of our ability. And we are also committed to thinking beyond demolition. Once these buildings are removed, we want to work with partners across the state, local government, and the private sector to explore new opportunities for these sites, including housing, neighborhood development, and projects that could bring jobs and economic activity back into Flint community. Demolition is not the end of the story. It is the first step towards renewal. Every dollar spent protecting abandoned buildings is a dollar that cannot be spent in the classroom. And that reality matters deeply when you consider who our scholars are. Flint Community Schools proudly serves over 800, I'll say it again, 800 students receiving special education services, which is significantly higher than the state average based on enrollment. These students require additional support, specialized staff, and expanded resources to ensure they have the opportunities they deserve. Imagine what we could do if the resources currently tied up in vacant buildings were instead invested in specialized instructional supports, staffing, mental health services, academic interventions, and innovative programming for our scholars. That is why today we are requesting $8.79 million in state supports to demolish these 4 long vacant and unsafe schools. This action will accomplish several important goals for us. First, it will eliminate a clear public safety risk in our neighborhoods. Second, it will stop the escalating costs associated with maintaining abandoned buildings. Third, it will help our district focus our limited financial resources where they belong, on our students and their learning. And finally, it will remove blight that continues to impact neighborhoods surrounding these structures. When abandoned school buildings sit for decades, they do more than deteriorate physically. They become painful reminders of decline in communities that are already working hard to rebuild. Flint deserves better, as you know. Our neighborhoods deserve safer environments, and our scholars deserve a school district that can fully focus on their success. The request before you today is not simply about demolition. It is about restoration, restoring safety to neighborhoods, restoring stability to our district, and restoring our ability to invest fully in the future of Flint's children. Members of the committee, Flint has faced many challenges over the years, but what has always defined this community is our determination to keep moving forward. Today, we are asking for your partnership in helping us take one more step forward. By supporting this request, you will help Flint Community Schools eliminate dangerous blight, reduce unnecessary costs, and refocus our resources on what matters most, the children we serve every day. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your continued commitment to the students of Michigan, especially in Flint. At this time, I would like to turn the floor over to our board president or vice president if they would like to have remarks.
Thank you very much. Trustee.
Yes, thank you for the privilege of sitting before you and allowing our testimony. I, too, share a similar history with Superintendent Jones as a product and a native of Flint and a product of the Flint Community Schools, with both my parents being Flint Community School teachers. And I just want to open up the floor to questions. I think Superintendent Jones spoke very eloquently and addressed the major concerns. We're working very hard to partner to maintain public education in Flint, which started out as the community school model, and we're hopeful that it will remain a model and continue to serve as a beacon for the rest of the nation.
Good morning. I want to thank everyone for the privilege to be here. I got a little cold here. In addition to what we're trying to do, the Mott Foundation just cannot carry Flint by itself. That foundation has been a blessing to Flint for the water crisis of the pandemic. Even to this day, he's putting together a grant with $6 or $7 million to do all the parks in the schools that we do have, in addition to other parks. As a partner, I stand here on behalf that it's our turn to help him and help the Mott Foundation. And all the beautiful work that we have done, these abandoned buildings, is taking a toll on our community. If we can get these buildings taken down and allow other investors to come in and see what great things we have done. We took a different approach by listening to our partners. As the foundation said, we couldn't keep doing the same thing the same way and getting the same results. That's why we stand here today before. We're stepping out of the box, and we're coming to you guys to really support us in this. Our children coming up deserve the same opportunity that we have that sits in these seats. They had great education, they had great communities, and they had people that care about them. As a grandparent, some of us are parents, I stand here and say, we're seeking support to rebuild. I want to say do better and leave them better than what they have now. Flint is a striving place. I think the population has increased up to about 10,000. We got kids coming in. The Mount Foundation is putting together, has made a commitment. We're building a brand new high school over here in the Culture Center. That's a big plus. I mean, when a foundation sees that much to invest in Flint, only thing we have now is our voices. And I'm asking you guys, please consider this demolition bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We will take any questions or comments at this time.
Thank you for your presentation, Representative Glanville.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, if I may. I just want to make sure I'm understanding clearly. Your ask is $8.79 million?
Yes, for four
Okay.
buildings, as an estimated cost, as we had our construction company support us in giving us the estimated cost for that work.
And that covers the environmental assessment as well as the
Yes.
demolition work?
Yes.
Okay, how much money is the district putting into, or what are you investing?
So the district has invested in two other properties. We currently do not have the funds to invest in these properties. We have invested in two other properties prior, Washington, and a couple of units on McKinley's property.
And that was for the environmental study as well as the demolition?
The whole demolition, yes.
Do you know how much that was?
Not off the top of my head, but I can get that number.
Okay, yep, I'd like to understand your own investment in this. And then I just want to also be clear, like the main sticking point for you is that environmental study. Is that what I heard you say early on?
Well, it's not the main sticking point. It's the fact that the properties are have been sitting abandoned and squatting and fires and We've been having to go in every week and board them up. Just the eyesore and the work that has to go into it every week has caused us to use valuable resources that should be going in the classroom. It's going into vacant properties. We have more than 4. We have over 20 vacant properties that we're spending time on and human resources on.
Okay. Can I ask how you chose these 4?
We chose these 4 based on where they're located in the community and the busyness of what's happening in these 4. We've had to have police go on a regular basis. We've had to board them up on a regular basis, and they're in areas. Some are in areas where you could absolutely have an opportunity for private sector or local government use these properties. So we try to look at our areas in the district and the properties where we could possibly do some partnership, but also some of the busy squatting and vandalism as well.
Okay, so a combination of the most problematic and the most potential.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your latitude, Chair.
Representative Jenkins Arno.
Thank you. So I think you've answered my questions already, but I just, so I assume these properties are scattered throughout the Flint community?
Yes, they are.
So, okay. And then, so once the buildings are taken down, what will become of the land? What, will you sell it, and then the money will come back to the school district, which will?
The district is open to, as I was stating earlier, the district is open to any opportunities that will affect the economy in Flint. One of the things that we've already done, I did not tell you this one, but the Board of Education over the past 2 years sold Longfellow, which was one of our middle schools, to Communities First, which is a company that builds profitable homing for families. And so they're in the midst of doing that now at one of our properties. So we're open to that as well.
So, yeah, just whatever happens with the property, then it will increase the value probably of the land around it and the properties, the homes and things around it. So it's a win for everyone, it sounds like.
Absolutely. The land is worth more without the building on it.
Mm-hmm. Thank
you. Representative Beeson.
If I may, just to answer a little further the 2 previous questions, we are the largest landowner in the city itself with over 400 acres of property. It is something that the community worked very hard to invest in during its heyday for the benefit of the community. It selected very specific sites around the city for its students and for the population. We are in the process. The city of Flint has a new master plan in 2013, 2014 for the first time in decades. And so we are strategically looking at properties around the city to with an eye to this master plan, with an eye to being partners with the municipality, with local nonprofits, with the foundation. Dr. McNeil spoke about our partnership with the Mott Foundation. As you probably know, the Mott Foundation was instrumental in starting the Flint Community Schools in 1926. It'll be 100 years, our anniversary of the community school model, which the whole nation has looked to as inspiration. And we are partnering, working very hard as a partner with the foundation and with other community nonprofits, neighborhood organizations, parent organizations, to, as she said, think outside the box and really benefit the community, as opposed to letting the properties deteriorate and giving them away. In the past, what has happened is properties have been just privatized and given away, and then they come to the Mott Foundation and ask for money, and we've cut out the middleman, so to speak, and we're partnering directly with the foundation. We developed a very solid wonderful relationship over the past 2 to 3 years. And we're looking forward to helping with the economic development in the city as well as the community spirit.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for being here. I was on the school board before I got here. It's one of my favorite, not paid very well, take a lot of arrows. Fun job because you have the commit. My concern is this 8.7 million. I'm looking at you guys, a surplus of buildings around the Flint area. You guys have a lot of costs. Is this just going to be this year and then 3 years from now you're getting back? Because I'm looking at your buildings and there's a lot of schools that are. Is there any fast way that the school board has figured out a way to dump the buildings in the Building and Sites Committee inside your school board that you have? Are you guys looking at a fast track or bringing somebody in to dump a lot of these buildings to get off your payroll? Because it's expensive maintaining, just cutting the grass, right? People don't realize cutting the grass. And, so what's the bigger plan? Because this is great for the 4, but I got to believe that there's more than just 4 that got to get off your system.
Absolutely, and I've been asked by Rep. Kelly to give more information about all the buildings as of last week, and we're working on that information. However, as a school district, we're in a operational deficit of about $9 to $10 million. We've had to figure out what is it going to take for us to continue to build enrollment instead of declining enrollment. And one of the things that we have focused on, we used our ESSER funds for infrastructure for 4 school buildings. We renovated 4 school buildings with our ESSER dollars, which actually got the attention of some of our families in the community. We're surrounded around charters. We're surrounded around schools of choice. We know it's there. We understand it. The decline has cost us over the years from 48,000 to 2,700 kids. So when we became a team in 21, we started to think about what could we do to stop the decline in enrollment. And we've tried to focus on our buildings that kids are in. And so in doing so, we partnered with the Ma Foundation to build a new high school. And we're in the midst of that right now. The state did support that with the 12D dollars, and Flint Community Schools received 35.9 to support with that high school. So to answer your question, we've had to prioritize. We've had to prioritize looking at the students that we serve every day and not the buildings that we do not use.
So my concern is that buildings, you're not the only spot in the whole state that have these. So is there any fast way? And when I was on the school board, we dumped some of our buildings just because of it. But I didn't see there was any fast way to dump buildings to the private market to get it off your balance sheet, is there?
No, we don't have a fast way to do that. We've come out to the public. We've had board meeting after board meeting where the public come in. They want the building, but they don't have the money to sustain what it will take to either demolish that building or to fix it up. And so giving buildings to community members that do not have the funding to support it, it will end up back in our care. So the board has had to make very, very hard decisions in turning away community members that did not have the resources. And we've just been trying to hang on to the buildings, keep folks out of the buildings. We've had kids go on top of the buildings, fall through the buildings. We've had folks drive cars through the buildings and hide cars in buildings. We've just been trying to keep them closed up and safe as much as we can. And it's an eyesore, and it's been a problem for our district. We're using a lot of resources for that. So to just dump them, no, we don't have a way to just dump them, but we are trying to work with our community.
Okay.
And I just want to add to that, we did try dumping a little, and we gave them to churches and communities. But then at the end, we end up back with them. They still our responsibility. So we just don't know what else to do. We just gave one to one community almost a year ago, and we still hadn't begun to get the work done on that. So it's really challenging to just dump and end back up with it because we can't insure the building. All the thing we are doing is paying for the fire to be put out and try to keep it safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for your presentation. If you look at page 5 and 6, pretty stark about what was and what is. And I also, the buildings that they have renovated, I've been through, they're beautifully renovated. Kids are excited to be there. There's some quality work going on, so thank you again. And this is also not to suggest that we don't have this across the state, or whether it's Detroit, Saginaw, Muskegon, Benton Harbor. A number of these are large urban districts that have fallen under decline. It's just seemed to me kind of almost a unique situation in Flint that, given their the size that they of the problem here, and I think they're going about it systematically. To Representative Beeson's point, yes, there's other buildings that could you would have 16 others that would like to come down as well. But I think it's, and we're trying to get a handle on what the overall cost of that might be. But anyway, again, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Representative Borton moves to excuse absent members. There being no objections, the motion prevails by unanimous consent, and there being no further business, meeting is adjourned.